listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Why, hello, and welcome to Season 24, Episode 15 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimmy.
My name is Stork.
Stork's mic is muted.
No.
Whose fault is that? That'd be mine.
That'd be yours.
That'd be mine, Bob.
Hi. In this episode of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast, Madison asks for tips as he's returning to GMing after a long while. Eric from New Jersey polls the hosts, figuratively, and Simon from London sends suggestions for being a good player.
It could be a 10-foot pole, though.
It could be.
Have one.
But first, if you'd like to email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We're on social media. Happy Jacks RPG, all one word, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and MeWe. And then the forum, happyjacksforum.com. Go to our forum.
Yep.
Start a flame war.
Yep.
Or two.
And starting this weekend is JackerCon.
JackerCon!
So, JackerCon.com there might still be spots and games. I know a couple of us are still going to be adding games a little bit. It's lasting for a whole week. And it's our awesome fan-run online convention. So you can play from anywhere in the world.
I thought it was that 1980s singer, JackerCon.
No.
ShockerCon?
I got it. I kind of got it. I knew there was something that rhymed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have to tell you the story.
What?
Go ahead.
So we're talking about 80s like things. So this is a story I told you earlier. So my husband and I are watching Masters of the Universe, right?
Right.
Because once in a while we decide to watch like bad movies that are like nostalgic and fun. And we were watching, and we suddenly like looking at this one character. We're like, that guy looks like our next door neighbor. Yeah, he's like one of the named characters. The guy Charlie who owns the music shop or the pawn shop in it. Like we're looking at it, we're like, no way, that's our neighbor. It's our neighbor. We look it up on IMDb. We're like, oh my god, it's totally him. It's a total LA
Is he still
moment.
a working actor?
Yeah, he is. He's got like the list of like all the shows. He was like one episode of literally everything in the world. But this was like the one big movie he did. It was very good.
That was shot in Whittier when I was going to college there. So it was sort of like it was there for weeks and weeks. So people would go down it because it was mostly nights.
Yeah.
Right.
People would go down nights and watch them shoot this thing. And it was, there were big flying, hovering things. And it was a really cool thing to watch.
Yeah.
Like to see this science fiction movie made right there in downtown Whittier. Uptown Whittier.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it was very fun. It was a very LA moment.
Old Town Whittier, is that they called it?
It's
Uptown?
Uptown Whittier. And, they were
That's
spaceships
the old
and-
big brick buildings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and also if you want to watch the show live, Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, you can watch us right here at happyjacks.org/live.
Yeah. And we started on time this week.
Very close. We're only 3 minutes
I
late.
remembered, so I showed up on time.
Right.
Early.
Excellent.
All right. Modern, Rust, and GURPS from Madison.
Yeah.
Greetings all. Short-time listener and first-time emailer. Someone has to be a new listener, right? Yeah, that's true.
Yay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I've recently started getting back into gaming. I played a lot back in junior high and high school, mostly D&D, before there were version numbers, so he's our age.
He is.
Without the internet to tell us we were wrong, we began with the red box set, mixed in older stuff from Eldritch Wizardry.
Definitely.
Yeah, articles from Dragon before we settled into AD&D. Along the way, we also played several of the other mostly forgettable TSR games, Gamma World, Star Frontiers, Top Secret, as well as some better non-TSR games like Traveler.
Did I game with you? Because this is exactly
Same thing,
my
yeah.
background. Like game by game by game. I mean, do I know you?
Late in college and grad school, I discovered GURPS. Pause for mandatory cheer. Yeah! The disadvantage points in the character creation system was a great catalyst to turn a murder hobo into a role player. I continue to have fond memories of it. However, after I left school, I rarely played for the next 20 plus years. Sounds familiar. But recently, I joined a monthly D&D 5e game. The DM has expressed an interest in occasionally taking a break and playing instead of running. I figured I'd run something. However, my knowledge of 5e is very limited and wanted to do something different than an ongoing game. I'm planning to run a one-shot modern horror/mystery game in GURPS. Yeah!
It does that really well.
Yes. I bought the 4th edition rules. Haven't changed much from 3rd. Character gen changes a little bit, but the basic game mechanics are pretty much the same. Oh, damage. There's a lot more damage types. There used to be 3, now there's like 12.
That was veering off into stew.
Yeah, that was me.
That was
Sorry.
away from the email. Okay.
I've got a good sense for an adventure, stealing, borrowing from a novel I read recently. The characters will be average people, around 100 points. The game should be light on combat, but there are certain skills that the characters must have for the adventure to work as currently planned. Example, someone who can pick locks. So I'm leaning towards at least partially pre-made characters, and will be passing on links to GURPS Lite. The players have mostly only played D&D and Pathfinder related games. It is a 1 maybe 2 shot, so I don't want to spend a whole session making characters. What would you recommend for getting players to buy into their characters without overwhelming them? Also, any advice on things to watch out for as a rusty GM who has only recently started playing again? P.S. Imbibe, I recommend Chateauneuf du Pape, but consume what you like. That's a wine from the south of France.
Oh.
Primarily reds is what they're known for. A little jammy. I looked it up.
Yeah. I was gonna say, wow. Nice.
My
I
long
just love the adjectives they use. I was rather Episcopalian now, and it's got a bit of a sewer rat on the edge of the tongue there. What?
PPS. My long-term evil plan is to do a long-running GURPS game, which will begin using. He means Decuma.
Decuma, yay! Thank you.
All right. First question.
GoldenLassoGames.com.
Right. First question. You need to say that more clearly so people understand what you're saying when you're plugging your stuff.
I'm sorry. GoldenLassoGames.com. Sign up for the mailing list. The beta's out there.
And is that lasso with 1 or 2 S's?
2 S's.
Okay,
That's
just
how you
making
spell
sure.
No,
lasso.
that's a good point.
Just making sure.
Okay.
Well, don't tell them that, because I bought up the other one so that I can make money off of whoever.
God damn it.
Never mind.
Right. Golden
Is there
lasso.
Squatting it.
There's only one way to spell lasso.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
a lot of ways to misspell it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I made sure, and with my cosplay and with the Golden Lasso games and everything, like actual words, like because lots of times people are like lady, like my old one was like Lady Adina, and like I always had to stop and like spell it out for people because people don't know how to
Right.
spell things like
Yes.
that. So pick real words, people.
Right. Happy Jacks.
Happy Jacks. Yeah. Although we get into
Doesn't have anything to do with role-playing games whatsoever,
no.
but everyone
But
knows how to
everyone
spell
says spell.
happy
Yeah.
and Jacks.
Yeah. And even if they put the apostrophe in there, they can still find the right thing.
Right. Okay, his first question, super easy to answer that one. If you're making partially pre-gen characters in GURPS, come up with the stats and the skills, probably the advantages, leave the disadvantages blank. Let the players come up with it. The disadvantages is the personality
Yeah.
in most cases,
Yeah.
right? So leave that to the players, print out a list. I mean, I think that you can go to Steve Jackson Games website. I think there's a web page they have where there's like a list of all of the. They have a tool for GMs. Like, here's the allowable stuff, and you can check mark stuff that you think like these are allowable disadvantages. So it can't be like, I don't know, incorporeal.
Well, there's a good
or
tip
whatever.
right there. They have that online. They have
Yeah,
that
and then go in and you checkbox them, and then you can print it, and it was just the stuff that you're approving. So you can just hand that to them. Here's a bunch of disadvantages, and if they need to know, I don't know if it puts the point cost. I don't remember, and then they can just give themselves the disadvantages, and that really is going to give them the personality of the character. But they've got the skills that they're going to need for the game.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest suggestion. If you don't want to do full character creation, and full character creation in GURPS will take you an entire session.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
If you have multiple copies of the
Yeah,
character creation book. If
that's
you
a-
don't, it will take multiple sessions.
Now he's giving them GURPS Lite, which I give you high marks for because that's a really smart idea. And GURPS Lite is not nearly as intimidating as the full.
But it
GURPS
doesn't really give you
library.
character creation.
No, but
It just
will
gives you
give
the
your
mechanics.
characters-
Yeah.
Yeah, and it will give your players a very.
A foundation.
It's more than that. It's actually a really good
Yeah.
basis for playing that game. You can actually run GURPS with GURPS Lite.
Yes. But that would be my biggest suggestion if you're making, because I mean we've talked about making pre-gens, having ways to encourage players to have buy-in in pre-gen characters,
Yeah.
and having them at least partially make them has been, at least in my experience, met with the most success.
And you can do what we do, and I think Kimmy started this, maybe not. But you have all the characters, and you just have like a generic label on there, like fighter, And I do it with the Freak Show. I just have the names of the characters. I have the Hunger Artist. I have a Dog Boy. And so people just pick this up, and then they open it up, and then they get to see what their character is.
Yeah. Right.
And it's kind of fun. It at least gives them this chance, like, oh, I picked this one, and now they get this sort of like opening up a present kind of thing. And what did I get?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If you have to have one thing, like you specify that you need lock picking, make sure that multiple characters have it at least a little bit, because inevitably, if you have like 6 players and 7 character sheets,
Right.
Because I want to give them options. The one you need is going to be the one they do not pick.
And you can always fail your lockpick rolls. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have other people that have it as well. So
Yeah.
just have some redundancy in skills, especially if that's a needed thing that has to happen. If they have to get behind a locked room to advance the plot, make sure that skill is redundant amongst a couple of players.
Or give him a crowbar.
Or give them a crowbar. or demolition
battering
skill.
Give one guy a lockpick set. Give
Yeah.
another guy a crowbar.
Exactly.
You'll get through that door somehow.
Demolitions, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Just blow it.
Also, let them come up with like the disaz is great, but also let them come up with like their character names, their pronouns, like what they look like all that stuff. Like even that doesn't affect like the mechanics of the game at all, but it lets them really kind of feel ownership too.
Right.
So give them a little bit of mechanical choice, but also let them do the fluff stuff too.
And a little unsolicited advice. You didn't ask this about preparing D&D players to play GURPS. There's a few things that you probably will want to do when you're making the characters. One, you need to min-max the fuck out because that's what D&D is, right? So if you're going to have a guy who swings a sword and does damage with it, dump a lot of points in strength so he does a lot of damage with it, and give him a high skill level in it so he hits with it a lot.
And because you're only running a small limited thing, they're not going to have this growth of character and such, and no really advancing. Yeah, make them really effective right out of the gate. I do that with the Freak Show. They're all really effective.
Because that's one sort of cultural shock that will happen with players coming from D&D to GURPS, is you're going to go from being, well, I'm a fighter, so I fight really well, and I don't have to do anything to my character. He just fights really well. I just have to make sure that my strength and con are as high as they're supposed to be or whatever. And when you get to GURPS, it's very easy to make a generalist character. Super easy, and there's a good tendency to do that because it's like, oh, I'm going to put a half a point in this skill and a half a point in this skill. If you allow half points. I don't think by rules written they do, but we always used to do that. Anyway, the other thing that you're going to have...
Why make it easier?
Right. The other thing that you're going to have to watch, and it's going to drive them fucking batty, is the fact that everyone gets a defense roll. So you roll to attack, that does not mean you hit.
Nope.
Yeah.
That means that you have taken a swing that has the potential of hitting, and now the other guy gets to take a defense roll, either a dodge or a parry or a block if he's got a shield, and people are going to be like, but wait, I hit. So and that we've had a lot of players who came in and played GURPS who were used to playing D&D, like, fucking Tyler.
Yeah.
I fucking hate defense rolls. As he
Table flip.
loudly declared after
Yeah.
like the second or third time he had an attack parried.
Yeah.
But you got to warn them that exists, and also make sure they know it when they're getting attacked.
Yeah.
Because that's an easy thing for them to forget. Because if they're used to playing D&D, they're not used to having that kind of mechanic.
Can you just bypass that if you want? Just
You
don't-
could. You could.
I mean, at that point, why play GURPS?
Well, yeah.
At that point.
Well, Stu is always very good at ignoring certain things in GURPS just to help streamline it, because it can be a really complicated game if you're constantly looking up every little nuance of the thing. You have a lot of it memorized, but even then you still gloss over some of the stuff.
That's mostly modifiers, because there are. Someone sat down and there's like an 8-page document in like 8-point fonts that in like 4 or 6 columns that lists all of the possible attack modifiers.
Wow.
Because there's literally a shit ton of them. It's a huge. And it's like that should not even exist.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
crazy.
Don't let that intimidate you, just to throw that out.
yeah, and you just take whatever the most relevant modifier is going to be.
Yeah.
The guy's far away. Okay, what's the distance on the chart? Okay,
It's dark. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think those two things especially that make the characters min-max the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And also make sure the players understand that you have defense rolls. They get them as well. Make sure they know that. But you got to kind of prep them ahead of time. Just because you rolled a hit does not mean you get to roll damage.
Also, prep them for GURPS being much more deadly
Oh, yeah.
than D&D.
And also much more real. Like, you can take time to aim. and you can use a weapon you don't have a skill for.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. They don't even think about it. They're like, I can aim?
Right.
Wait, I can use his sword, but I'm a magic user. Yeah.
Right. Well, you just
You're not very good
probably
at it, but
going to
you
be
can
shitty at it
do
because
it.
all your points are in spells.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's probably, I'm sure all over the internet, there's little cheat sheets.
Oh, yeah.
I know I've seen them before. I've had them at the table when we've played. If you want, you should check out our recent the Darknet campaign. It's on YouTube.
Right.
Where that Mook was running, and Mook is like an incredible
West Coast
GURPS
Guru
player.
GURPS.
You know
Yeah.
what? That's just go there. He's got all these resources.
Yeah. Well, and just watch how, like, he's so good at making things run smoothly because GURPS can be a very kind of disjointed. Oh, let's check this. Oh, let's do the math on this, and he just runs it like seamlessly. You don't even see all the machinations happening because he's so smooth with just doing the math in his head. Oh, that hits. You hit that. Yeah. So he's taking on a lot of the work for a one shot. Like, I would definitely say have them roll and tell you what they roll. Oh, that's this. Let me help you with this. Unless they're super great at picking stuff up, but he does a really great job of that.
We should put that in the show notes. He's also on his site, on top of having great essays and great
Mook.net.
articles, Mook.net.
Yeah.
He's got links to other resources for GURPS GMs because he's passionate about GURPS and really wants to expand it. And he's really, really good at it and really hopes to demystify it and take some of this stuff.
And he wrote a book that Steve Jackson Games published called "How to Be a GURPS GM."
Yeah.
You might want to check that out
And
as well.
he's a great writer, and everything's in a light. It's great. If you're going to run GURPS, invest in it.
And he's just a really good person.
He is. He truly is. I had another point I was going to make.
I interrupted you.
It fell out of my head.
Yeah.
About pre-gens?
No.
About GURPS versus D&D?
I'd like to make player mats. I have this passion for them, and there might be some resources out there, but ostensibly, like you said, you make a flyer, but you can also make a player mat that's in front of the player at all times and just try to keep it simple. And I'm sure there's stuff out there where make sure order of combat, make sure you do a defense roll, da 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 da. And it again, the more you can give your players a hand with this, the less freaked out they're going to be when something new comes at them and they don't know how to handle it.
And also, if you're making pre-gens, of course, you probably know this, do all the math on the character sheet for them.
Yeah.
So when you have, here's your weapon, here's the damage it does. If it's a melee weapon, it's already calculated in the basic damage from your strength or whatever. So they don't have to do any of that stuff. They just got the numbers they have
There's
to
a
roll.
number.
Right. And the other thing he asks is about any advice on things to watch out for a rusty GM who has only recently started playing again. The only advice I can give is the same advice that I did the same thing I did when I started, and you're already doing it, and that is, we have podcasts today, and there's a lot of them out there that will give you advice on how to play role-playing games on virtually every system that exists.
Yeah.
And so, you made the first step. And you found us! How'd that happen?
Regarding GURPS, one last thing: the dice will throw your D&D players as well because it's
roll low.
It's roll low,
Right.
as opposed to roll high. And everybody who came from D&D is always looking for a high roll. I did so good. And
I still do that every single time I roll
Right.
in GURPS. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, 3 is the super good number.
Yeah.
Right. Not 18. 18
Yeah.
you don't want to see.
Oh, man.
And the other thing that you might find that the players will start to like about GURPS is the fact that there's a bell curve with 3d6 rather than that flat probability with a d20.
If you got somebody who's into that stuff. The one advice I try to remind myself all the time when I run a game is be a fan of your players.
Yeah.
Like, let them do cool things. If it's not really going to affect your storyline so much, if he wants to wear a trench coat, let him wear a trench coat. If he wants to have like an eye patch, let him wear an eye patch.
Right.
You could probably have maybe that could be a disad, but the point is just let them do some cool stuff and be a fan and try to yes and as much as you can, because that will free you up. You won't be sitting around going, I don't know if that's legal or not, because we fall into this. Well, I don't want to break the game. If there's one little thing that happens, I don't want to break the game. Should I move my mic up?
I think it just needs to be louder.
Is it too quiet? It sounds okay in the cans.
And that will, if you just say to yourself, I'm a fan, I just want them to have a great time, it will free you up from having to look up every little rule or every little thing they want to try to do. It's a simple little code switch in your brain, which is, I'm not glued to this book. There might be a rule for it, but I don't need to look it up right now. As long as it's fun, let's go with it.
My advice to you will be forgiving of yourself. Like, we all screw up when we're GMing, especially when you first get into it or first get back into it. Like, you're going to fuck up, and that's okay. And you're there with friends. You're there to have fun. Don't worry about being like, oh, everything's perfect. Be like, oh, I fucked that up. all right, let's try again. Let's do it this other way. Like, chill out. You have fun too. Forgive yourself, because you will fuck up, and that's okay.
Yep. And cheat on the player's side so they like GURPS more than D&D.
Who knows? They could.
Because, I mean, D&D combat versus, high-level D&D combat versus GURPS combat, one is a lot longer than the other.
Yes.
And the only time that GURPS combat gets long is if you have two very highly skilled characters who are using weapons they can parry with.
Yeah.
That can last a long-ass time.
I mean, when you point out then that an aimed shot, whether it be a bow or a sniper rifle, can kill anybody with one shot, they're going to be like amazed.
Oh yeah.
They're all of a sudden they're all going to be much more cautious, and it does affect the way they play. But it's a pretty profound experience when you're like, you mean my level 2 like grunt can take out?
There's no levels in GURPS. What are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Your 100-point player can
Right.
take out
Can take out a
1,000-volt.
Dragon?
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
If you got a sniper rifle.
and aim for 5 turns. Yeah.
Right, yeah. All right.
Nice.
And any other, like, getting back into gaming advice? I'm trying to think. Because the first thing I did is I went and bought the 4th edition D&D books. And then I'm like, oh, what are there podcasts? And I went, oh, look, there's a shit ton of RPG podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm like, and some of them are good.
Yeah. I think, like, doing that, I mean, and there weren't any, really very many actual plays at all. Like, when we started this.
Back then, I think the only actual plays I knew up was, like, role-playing public radio.
Yeah.
There may have been a few others, but that was really it. That was really
there
it.
weren't that many.
We had to go to conventions and like sit in with strangers to find out how other people solved the same problem
yeah,
we did, which was awkward and weird.
Yeah. Like actual plays are a cool resource, especially if you find one where they're doing character gen or something like that. If you're looking at how to do the mechanics of that or looking for inspiration for your pre-gens. But also, like, it's kind of a two-sided coin. Like, there's the awesome inspiration you can get from them, clarification on how to do rules, things you don't want to do that you can learn, oh, I don't want to do like that. But there's also the other side where it's like, it sets a really high bar sometimes, depending on what show you're watching. So again, like, don't necessarily expect you or your players, like, a lot of APs are very highly produced shows. I won't go back into the porn thing, I promise. If you don't get that joke, go listen to it a couple weeks ago. It was crazy when we talked about actual plays. But
The analogy still works.
it's totally
The analogy holds.
yeah. So realize that a lot of actual plays, especially some of the really popular ones, a lot of them are performers or actual actors or voice actors and things like that. So don't necessarily judge your group or your performance based on what you've seen like these professional groups do. Which I'm not including us because we're not fucking professional, but we drink too much for that.
And we don't edit.
We don't edit. You
Clearly.
see all the wrinkles.
Yep. Hey, what?
No, I fucking have wrinkles now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have to pull out the little gray hairs every couple weeks.
Happens.
That makes 3 grow back.
No, it doesn't.
What?
That's bullshit. It does mess up the texture of your hair, though, so at some point I'm going to need to stop doing that. But for now, it's so few numbers that it won't affect things.
Well,
I started getting gray at 19.
I was really scared because my dad was like almost completely white by like his second year of college.
Oh, all of my mother's brothers, all my uncles on my mother's side of the family, pool cues or cue balls, all of them.
Really?
Oh yeah, every one of
That's
them.
shocking.
The little wisps of white here. I mean, and I'm talking by the time they're in their mid-30s.
Ah.
That's why I gave up on hair in what was it, 29, I think. Like, yeah, it's gonna go away anyway. All right, the audio level's up. Let me know if they're okay. Someone asked, "What's the crit on a 3d6?" Critical success is a 3. A critical failure is an 18. Any roll that is 10 points below the rolled skill level is considered a critical success too, I believe, if I remember correctly. High.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think it is.
Yeah,
And it's very cool when you get them.
it is
It
very
is.
cool.
All right, thank you very much there for the email, and let us know how the game goes when you get
Yeah, and thank you, like, new listener. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
Yay! We drink to you,
You found us in the vast
and it's
wilderness.
not Chanteau de Pop
De Pouf.
Poop
Le Château Neuf.
de Poop
De Pouf. De Paf. De Papé.
Pape. I don't know how to say that.
Well, usually in French you throw out the last 5 or 6 letters.
I don't speak
You
French.
don't even
I
pronounce
speak Californian, so it's Chanteuf du Pape.
The potato?
Pape.
Pape.
And it means like castle, the Pope's castle or something like
Yeah,
that.
but if you're speaking California, you have to go up at the end, like you're from the valley.
Totally.
That's only if you're from the valley.
And
And that's only one specific valley.
I live
that's
in
the
the
San
valley.
Fernando Valley, not the San Gabriel Valley, which is where we are, where we down talk.
Yeah, we do a little bit of it. It's a little flutter. Yeah, totally.
San Fernando Valley is where I live, and it's like 5.5 minutes from here.
Yes, it is. And that's where you.
What?
And I remember in the 80s when I was in high school, after the Valley Girl song became popular,
Frank Zappa.
Frank Zappa, suddenly every girl at school started sounding like she was from the
Sound like
San
Moon
Ga-
Unit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Get me with a 2x4.
It became an affectation like everywhere. It's like when Flashdance came out. Suddenly everyone's cutting all of the collars off of their sweatshirts. I loved that personally, but
I just liked all the hot women welders all of a sudden. It was great.
Yeah.
all right.
female.
You ever seen Flashdance?
No.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
That's a
He's
pretty
a
seminal 80s
maniac,
film.
Maniac on the... Okay.
Oh no, I have seen that. That's the one where she pulls the cord and like the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yes, I've seen that.
She's like a welder by day, a stripper by night.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Um,
Dancer.
Dancer.
Nah, in the 80s, I think they would have been called the stripper. Taking the temp of the host from Eric in New Jersey.
Hey there, Jackers. I heard you need some emails, so I figured I would see what has changed in the past few years by getting some perspective on your gaming interests right now. First question. What is your current fave and not so obscure, well, not so obscure to Happy Jacks listeners anyway, TTRPG, and why? Everyone must finish their drink if Stu doesn't say GURPS or Moment of Truth. I feel like we need to eliminate the games we've written. Like, you can't say
No.
a game that you've written.
No.
Are you refusing to say that? Are you disagreeing with me? Or are you saying
No,
no?
I agree with you. I
Okay.
agree with you.
Your no is an
Neither of
agreement.
those is what I would answer right now currently. I mean,
Okay.
GURPS, solid fucking system.
Yeah.
But right now, I have
Yeah.
GM ADD, so it's like, ooh, shiny, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're on. Just
Of course you know. It's what I'm going to be running
What
in
you've been
a
texting
week.
about forever,
Right.
for months, and now like 8 times a day you're in Slack. Hey, okay, go. Exotic dancer, she doesn't get naked. That's what the chat room has
Yeah.
determined, by the way.
She doesn't.
I like to think that she does.
That's your headcanon, that's not the movie. All right, first question. So what is our favorite not so obscure to Happy Jacks listeners TTRPG and why?
You want to go first?
No.
Okay,
I'm
then
still
go.
thinking. No, I don't want to go first.
Oh, no, I said, do you want me to go first?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I really am enjoying Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition. The tweaks they've made to the game mechanics, I think, have really kind of fixed the swinginess of a percentile dice system. I think that the fear mechanics that they've changed, that they've updated, are fantastic. And there's chase mechanics, which, in hindsight, it's like, why did Call of Cthulhu never have chase mechanics before? It's a horror game. Of course people are going to run away from shit.
Yeah.
But now they have them, and they're solid. They look solid. I mean, obviously I haven't played them yet, so I don't know for
But
sure.
there's also, I mean, you could be chasing, zombified people. I guess it's part of the horror thing because chasing, or the cops are chasing you.
or anything.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
anything.
It doesn't matter who's chasing who. It's just
You
and
needed chase rules for sure.
and they're solid, and the GMing advice section actually kind of even tweaks the mechanics further, because there's one of the things they mentioned is that a failure on a percentile roll does not necessarily mean the person failed. It might mean that they succeeded in a way that they really didn't want to succeed. So I mean, because with a D100 system being as swingy as it is, it's really, I mean, just because you have a 70 percentage in a skill, it's like, okay, yes, if I make a million rolls on the dice, 70% of them will succeed, but I only care about this one time right now,
Right.
and that has no effect. So, and then also I've got a few titles from 7th edition. I got the Keeper's book and the Investigator's book. I got the Grimoire, which someone had suggested I get. Thank you. That was a good purchase. A lot more spells in it and stuff like that. I've never really used the Cthulhu Mythos magic in a Call of Cthulhu game before. I've only run it a couple times, but I'm going to try to integrate that in because I think it could be kind of fun because it's a great way to make players go insane.
Yeah.
Just have them cast dark magic spells. And then what is the other one I got? I just got another one. I got the field guide, which is basically kind of like a bestiary, but it's literally for players. It's not for the GM.
It's cool that they have all those resources out there now.
It's literally written like a field guide. It's like, here's a bayaki. Here's what it looks like. Here's an illustration of it.
It looks like a little journal like somebody wrote.
Yeah, and there's no stats for them.
Nice.
There's no combat stats
That's
or
cool.
anything like
So it's
that.
like a diary entry somewhere.
And it's all
cool.
it's all handwritten and hand sketches and stuff.
It's really cool.
So it'd be a cool prop for that. It's for a GM. I don't really need
You
it.
could also Xerox them off, right? And it's like, you find this under the desk, and
Exactly. And then I got one other one. I can't remember what it was. It was something Echoes of Carcosa or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. Ripples from Carcosa, which is also a 7th edition. There's not very many 7th edition.
I thought it was a Ben and Jerry's flavor.
It is. It is. And that's a good book. It's mostly an anthology of adventures, but it has some other information in it as well, which I thought was interesting and entertaining. But right now, because it's my new shiny, it's called Cthulhu 7th.
Nice.
Favorites, and then we'll do
My favorite, actually, believe it or not, well, no, you probably know, is Traveler.
Oh yeah,
I find it elegant and simple, and I actually have dreams, and I've been trying to think about a way to run
Mongoose Traveler.
Mongoose Traveler. Yes. Yes.
It's important to specify that.
Of running like a low tech level game that could basically be like a D&D game where people have got swords or maybe muskets or something, just to see how well that happens, because the game is remarkably flexible. You don't have to constantly stay in space and high-tech stuff. I've never really explored the lower aspect of it, but I've looked at it, and it's like, there's no reason that shouldn't work. There's no reason you couldn't do like a Musketeers game using the Traveler rules. It's just tech level 2. Or
There was either a very cheap or free giveaway back in the 1st edition Mongoose days for an adventure called Cowboys versus Xenomorphs. And it was an Old West. It uses the Traveler rules.
Cowboys versus aliens.
Yeah, and it was, and they even had it like 1 or 2 careers in the back of the book for themed characters.
I think it would. I think the game is built with all these tech levels, so you can definitely play within those parameters. And I like combat's just long enough. Everything makes sense. Armor's subtractive. The weapon damage all makes a lot of sense. It's not broken. There's hard to break the game. Really, you can't really make an overpowered character because the character gen is so random.
Right.
It's just a lot of fun for me, and I really like the character gen, and I really like the type of playing that comes out of the fact that people are playing these unexpected characters, and it really it expands. It works for the GM, it works for the players. It changes everybody's play style completely, and it's a real journey of discovery every time you play it.
It's a robust system.
It is. You can, and it's 2d6. That's it. You just put everything else away, and you have 2d6, and you can play this game, and it works just as well as.
Well, it's only 2d6 because you never hit, so you never need to roll multiple dice for
That's
damage.
true. Bring 4 anyway, just in case you get hit by a boulder or something.
Yeah. Let's see. My favorite right now, I think, is Masks for PBTA. Like, there's a lot of different games that are powered by the Apocalypse, but I think of current ones that are published, Masks is my favorite. It was my first one I tried. We got bored the other day in the middle of the day and streamed a 1-shot of one, which ended up being a 2-shot at some point. It will be a 2-shot. And I just, going through it on Tuesday this week, it's just such a great system. It captures exactly what it's looking for. Your teenagers, the way influence works, just really captures what it's like to be a teenager and have peer pressure and have, what they think of me matters to me, or no, it doesn't matter to me right now, and just all the different mechanics you can use with the teen pool, and just the way the powers work and how all the books are written are just so good. And it just captures that Teen Titans, Young Justice feel of, what it's like to be teen superheroes who have these adults you're trying to live up to and do a good job. And it's just so much fun to dive into that. And yeah, it's so good.
I love superhero games anyway.
Yeah.
I think more people need to play them because they're a lot of fun. You can fly and make power, and there's this, when you level up, you get to add to powers or increase powers. It's so much fun and liberating, and you're not constrained by some mythical age. You're in L.A. So you can like sit around like, I'm going to that building that my mom works in. Yeah, I mean it's so much fun. I think people dismiss the superhero genre as sort of being dumb and stupid, and you can have so much fun playing superhero games. I encourage everyone to try it.
Yeah, and they did such a great job of building the playbooks for that game. Like, they're all just these great it only takes a couple minutes to build characters. The connections between the characters are all really cool and appropriate, and it's so much fun. It's like superhero teens. Like,
Right.
Teen Titans.
Yeah, exactly.
Young
And they
Justice is perfect.
It's all the fun parts of being a teenager, but like just enough of like the angsty, well, I broke that building, so my mom grounded me for a week. Like, there's just enough of like that, like a little bit of like high school problems, and it's fun. It's just very cool. And I liked it very much. And
Least favorite.
least favorite.
I'm actually not a big fan of Fate. I find myself constantly. I have a really hard time immersing in the game and getting into character because I'm constantly looking at what little aspects I want to tap and stuff. It's so strategic in a way. It's kind of like playing cribbage. You're constantly looking to see what points you can get.
Right.
And you're doing. I'm never fully immersed. I'm busy running numbers and looking for advantages all over the game, all over the board, and reading little tags. I have a hard time getting into the role playing part of it. It always takes me out and way out, and I never have to get back in.
I'm a little bit burned out on Wild Talents right now.
Are you?
What?
I know, it's the worst. I love the game that I'm running right now, but I think because I've run that system so much, I think I would have a great time playing in it. I'm a little bit burned out on running it right now, and I think like trying PBTA and a couple other things right now, and Masks a little bit, like has kind of showed me, like the type of game I like to run doesn't need all the crunch that Wild Talents has.
Right.
I love the combat aspect of it. I still think that Wild Talents does superhero combat better and more realistically as like what we picture from comic books and movies, better than just about any other system. But yeah, there's just like, I don't know, point buy systems are not my favorite right now.
Right.
Maybe a little burnout.
I think that's exactly what
And
it
that's
is.
fair.
I think take a break from it and come back.
I think Champions combat wise for superheroes is probably about as accurate or as true to comic books as it can get.
There's something
It
so
is
great about
fantastic.
rolling 30 dice.
Yeah.
But it does
I'm
take
a
10 minutes to
fucking brick.
count.
But the cool thing about Wild Talents, I'll still like say, it's like the fact that you can interrupt each other so easily in a fight. That there's no other system that replicates that as well as Wild Talents does.
Right.
Where like
Well,
someone
no one really knows who's going to go first because that's determined by the dice rolls.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like, I'm going to punch him in the face. I'm going to shoot him in the head. Oh, but does my bullet land? And you punch through a cloud of blood? Or, oh shit, you punched him first and then I shot you in the hand. Like,
Right.
you never know what's going to happen. So as far as that part, it's great.
My turn?
Yeah.
FFG Star Wars.
Good choice. Yeah, good choice.
Fantastic products. I would just wish the system wasn't as cumbersome as it is.
Yeah.
The choices they made for character creation are just overcomplicate the process of making a character. Just way too much.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that system either. Now that you bring that up, that might be a close second. That might actually trump Fate, but because I didn't like the L5R we were doing either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the dice mechanic.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that I'm constantly, when I'm GMing, it's like, oh, well, now you need to come up with a complication for the success for picking the lock.
Right.
Or now you have to come up with a drawback for the success of doing this. And I'm like, come on, we just go?
Yeah, I need to look at the L5R now it's out of beta and just see, because I feel like a lot of our problem with the beta is like flipping back between stuff, because I like the dice mechanic personally.
The dice mechanic.
I'm a big fan of it. I like it much better in L5R than in the FFG Star Wars. Much better.
Apparently, it's kind of still a hot mess, and it's lost the lethality that it had before.
Yeah, that is the one thing. Like, those duels need to be
It is
stressful as fuck.
I haven't looked at it, but Tappy said it's still very difficult to one-shot someone with a katana.
He didn't say it was impossible.
It might be. He may have said impossible. I don't remember. But I'm not. I don't know. I don't recall exactly. But
yeah.
It should be like, if you're going to get in a duel with someone, it's very likely one of you isn't going to walk away.
Right.
It reminds me, I found an article I need to send to you guys about somebody found an old article or translated some stuff about the one-shot school or the one-hit school.
Oh, yeah.
I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Question of fun.
It's actually historic. Yeah, okay.
And another question was about, do we have a favorite
I'm reading
obscure... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What is your favorite obscure RPG
that's right.
and why? Make someone drink if you think up an answer for something good that's more obscure than anything Tappy could come up with.
Well, he's not
That's
here.
not going to happen.
It might, because I have
maybe.
a really obscure one that
Oh,
I
yeah?
played a long time ago, and I really liked the setting. It was an old TSR game, I think. It re-released it recently. It's called Metamorphosis Alpha.
Oh.
Never heard of it.
That's obscure.
Yes.
And
You win.
it was a release sort of small indie game. You could look it up. Go ahead and type it up and look it up. But the setting was really, really cool. And it was sort of I don't want to spoil it because the setting is sort of, once you discover what the setting is, you're like, oh! But it was sort of like a Gamma World-esque kind of thing with sort of weird mutated animals, and you were sort of like commandy, kind of primitive human person trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And I thought it was a TSR game.
Yeah, it is. It's created by James M. Ward and originally produced by TSR.
Okay.
And later, in second edition, they changed it. I don't know if the publisher changed it. It doesn't say.
But it was a lot of fun. Maybe it's just sort of a zeitgeist thing because I played it like it was one of my early forays into games. But I seem to remember it played pretty well. Mm-hmm. You know, it's still kind of D&D-esque because, again, back in the day, there was D&D and Traveler, and that was kind of it.
I don't know. You go first.
You kind of already picked an obscure game because, I mean...
Masks is not super obscure, though. I feel like...
I didn't say it's super obscure, but it's...
No.
I mean, compared to the top 3 or 4 RPG
No,
systems
yeah,
out there.
100%. I would say right now, I haven't played it yet. I've watched other people play it, and I'm very interested in playing it. It's another PBTA game. It's called Bluebeard's Bride. Mm-hmm. And it's basically like you're going through that fairy tale. I Googled it just to make sure I got everything right about it. And it's you are... Like, you know the fairy tale, Bluebeard's, marries this woman, and she...
I've never even heard of this
You've
fairy
never heard of the fairy
tale?
tale? Oh, yeah. And she basically, like, he ends up being a murderer. She goes through the house, and she finds the bodies of his previous wives.
Oh, okay.
So, I think that's how it goes. But, so it's like a horror RPG, so you go through... and I've heard there's a lot of, like, female empowerment in it and things like that. So that's the one I'm, like, most interested in getting into next. And going through it, and it's like a horror kind of investigatory type game. So yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in that one. That's slightly more obscure than Masks.
Right. The only one that's popping into my brain, which is on my list of things I want to eventually run, is Blood and Honor by John Wick, which is because he obviously wrote L5R, and he's basically wrote sort of a lighter rules samurai game that borrows some from Fate and some other more modern systems, and that's something that. And you randomly generate the daimyo of the holding that the players' characters belong to and stuff like that. And I think that would be kind of a fun thing to play. Not a real long campaign, but maybe like a 2-3 session game.
Yeah.
I have an honorable mention. It's sort of obscure, and it's also one of my favorites. Toon.
Oh, fuck yeah, Toon.
I have never had more fun. I've laughed so hard that my stomach and cheeks hurt than playing Toon every time I've played it. I have never had more fun.
And there's someone at our cons. Does he still run it there?
Gary Mack.
He still runs
Gary
it?
Mack runs it. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a while. I've seen him, but he used to run just a great Toon game. It's a GURPS derivative.
Yes.
But it is. I've never had more fun. It's so you get to play in a cartoon. It's anvils drop on you and you don't die. And if you're trying to defeat the bandit, you can just make a fake bank and they can come in and charge, or draw a hole in the cliff and the guy can run in. Yeah, I mean all of that fun stuff. And it's kind of obscure because nobody thinks about playing it, but it is so much fun, and it's a great one-shot game. If you wanna just get together with friends and laugh, play Toon, and you can do it in about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh. Literally, my sides hurt from laughing so hard playing that game. And you don't get that very often.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good. I figure question 2 will cause enough people to send emails and defending systems you list to last you a few months. In the meantime, everyone have a drink. Love, Eric from New Jersey. And when none of us said D&D, so we all get to drink for that too. He said, also give someone a drink if they say something other than D&D. None of us said D&D.
Oh, all right. We're drinking.
Yay.
Well, fifth edition is fine. I mean, it still has all of the problems that I've always had with every version of D&D.
But you know that going in. You
Yeah,
know,
they're not going to change that. They haven't changed it in 5 editions. They're never going to change it. So
It's the devil, you know. You go. It's the bargain you
Right.
make when you play D&D, and at some point you can whine about it. But that's D&D. Play something else you don't like.
yeah.
And every couple of years, we kind of start missing it. We play it
Yeah.
again.
And
And
like,
then we
oh,
remember, oh, yeah, that's why I don't want to play that. Oh, yeah.
Next,
Although
up,
I do like the outlawing feats. That uncomplicates the system quite a bit.
Yes.
suggestions for being a good player from Simon in London. Dear Happy Jackers,
Wait, you have to do it with a London accent.
lots of people give out. No, that's Australian.
That's Australian.
Can't do English anymore. Can't do English anymore. Lots of people give ideas on how to be a
Todd
good
British on me all the
A few people give recommendations on how to be a good player. So, what are your ideas for being a good player? Here are a few of mine to get you started. Make a suitable character for the game in question.
Yeah.
You might want to play a ninja in a Western game, but it will spot in fucking Japan. But it may spoil the game for other players. If you can't think of a suitable character, it is probably better to not play in that game.
Mm-hmm.
This also means playing someone who would get involved in whatever's happening in the game. Playing someone who ignores a plot hook or passes it over to an NPC doesn't help the game. Be respectful in other players and GMs. Be respectful of other players and GMs.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to discuss this first part?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
We'll get to the end.
Most of this is obvious. However, being respectful doesn't mean agreeing or following on with something that another player does if it's something you wouldn't enjoy. I have a particular dislike for players doing dumb stuff and hoping that everyone at the table will yes and it.
Mm-hmm.
Let your character develop. You may have an idea of who and where you want your character to go, but unless the GM is specifically working with you to get that outcome, then it's likely that the goals and aims of the character will change, as will the way that they do stuff. To quote Muhammad Ali, a 60-year-old man who sees the world the same way he did when he was 20 has wasted 40 years.
Yeah, nice.
This counts for both
In-character.
motivations and out-of-character skills and talents. I thought maybe it was a misspelling.
Oh, yeah,
So
no.
I had to stumble into that. Lastly, and most importantly, do not be a dick.
Yes.
Yours, Simon from London. I like Kimmy's,
Yeah.
which is do not play with assholes.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't be an ass.
Any more? Any more you can think of?
Being a good player, I also think it means setting the scene to show up prepared, bathe, bring some food, and food to share, stuff to share as well.
Right.
Don't just hoard your own. These are mine. And have a can-do attitude.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be so dogmatic that it's only one way to do this, and be open to lots of suggestions, and even to the GM. The GM might have a really different spin on a game, and might take it, but go with it.
Right.
Have a can-do attitude and say, let's see what happens. Because a lot of people show up with scripts in their head and backstories they want to explore, and they're not flexible enough to be open to this experience that the GM and the rest of the players are providing for.
And same goes for the GM.
Yeah.
That's also good advice for any GM.
Yeah. I think this part here where it's like I have a particular dislike for players doing dumb stuff and hoping that everyone at the table will yes and it. There's a lot of people who think being a good role player is about being their character perfectly and completely and not doing things their character would never do. And you have to realize when you sit down at the table, it becomes a collaborative event. So if you always do the thing that your character would do to the detriment of everyone else's fun at the table, that's being a dick.
Yes.
I read that as, and I've run into these people at games before too, which is the person that thinks that being a good role player is doing the most outrageous thing.
Possibly. And sometimes
Those
it
are
is
kind
that.
of two different things, but
Yeah.
they're both
They're
they're
related.
both salient points.
Yeah, I feel like the people who do the most outrageous thing might be attention seeking, or there might be the person who's just like whether if they're playing the Batman character, I have no family, and they're just like, I will never walk into.
I'm a loner. I always walk
Yeah.
off by myself and do things
Yeah.
at sidebar constantly with the GM.
Yeah,
Right?
I will. Everyone else is away right now, but my character wouldn't wait. I'm going to go into the den of the bad guy all by myself, and you're just like, cool. We're all 30 minutes away,
Right.
And it's just there's situations like that where. Yes, that might be the thing that if you were in a solo game, if this was a movie about your character only, that would be an awesome moment. But you have to kind of be aware that there's other people at the table, and none of you are actually your characters.
Well, I would give the caveat: if a player's built a character who's impulsive and overconfident, and I don't need to wait for everyone else to go in and kick the bad guy's ass.
Like goes down the wrong corridor while waiting for everyone else.
I'm gonna go ahead.
When the sorcerer is overconfident.
My problem is when that kind of player then gets upset because of the very obvious repercussions of that action.
Exactly. Yes.
Which is okay. You get your ass handed to you, and now you're tied up in a corner.
Yeah, and nobody trusts you next time. See, I think that's because your character did that like that one time. But you grew from it. You learned from that, and that ties in with the other thing they said.
And I had established that he's an arront.
Right.
I mean,
I was not actually using. I wasn't meaning you.
No,
when
I know.
said that.
No,
Okay.
I know. I brought it to because come on, it's about me all the time.
She was.
No, but I've played with people who do that time and time again, and they get mad at the repercussions of it. They get mad when the NPCs don't react a certain way to what they expected to happen.
Right.
It's like, well, you just murdered everybody in their family. Why would they talk to you and give you their information? Like they don't care, or whatever it is. It's like, no, I don't think they're going to be super cooperative. I don't care what your charm roll was after you murdered everyone else in the room.
Right.
Like things like that. Like your actions will have those repercussions, and if you're not willing to let your character grow and realize, wow, that time I walked in by myself was a big mistake, I'm gonna not do that again.
Right.
Then that, again, this is not your solo backstory film. This isn't the Han Solo movie with you being Han Solo. This is, Star Wars, where everybody has their little bits.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think you can kind of almost boil that down to understanding the difference between good and bad metagaming.
Yeah.
Because good metagaming is saying, okay, my character would totally do a sidebar right now and tie up the GM for the next half hour. But that means that the other 5 people at the table are going to spend a combined 2.5 hours of human time not doing anything and staring at their phones while I do this. So instead of doing that, I'm going to see if I can come up with a reason why my character wouldn't do that, or at least try to include some of the other characters in it or something.
That is a very, very good point. And that's being a generous player. And it's, again, using your example about the other players are 30 minutes away. Logically, in the real world, a lot of people would just walk in and take it, but then now they're not part of it. A good metagamer would be like, "Well, I need backup, or I need to."
I'm
Or they might
preparing
say,
my stuff.
I'm going to sneak in and see what I can see, and then get some intel, and then when everyone shows up, I'll meet them outside. It's
Yeah.
great. I mean, there's a lot of ways around that without trying to steal all of the spotlight.
Yeah. And without being flexible. Like, you've got to be flexible because people are flexible. Like, there's no, we do something and then we make a mistake, we learn from it. So don't have such a rigid view of who your character is that you can't then work collaboratively with the other characters and the other people at the table. You have to remember, first and foremost, there are other people at the table who are not their characters.
Who all drove across town.
Yeah.
And they're all there to have fun.
Yeah.
All of them are there to have fun, not just you.
Yeah, and if you keep pulling all the other characters into combat over and over, unless they're a group that loves combat, because maybe they are, that's what they love, then great. But over and over and over, and you're just like, oh, for the love of God, please stop doing the same thing. Like, that can be frustrating.
There's a lot of ways that people are dicks. To be honest, we've only covered a couple, but broadly speaking, there are things that sometimes that players are just, that's their personality and they're irritating. And I don't know if there's any way really to fix that other than ending the games or whatever. But it's hard. That's why when you get a good group that at least aren't dicks all the time, you want to keep playing with them like we do here at Happy Jacks.
Yeah. So we're very lucky with that. But yeah, I mean, just talk to them about it. There's definitely a learning curve to being a good player. And this list is great, and there's, I think, some really important points, letting your character develop, like we're kind of like going over a lot of this. But also, like, understand, like, characters have to develop, but people as players have to develop. Like, I am sure the first time I sat down to play an RPG, I was probably a dick. Not on purpose, but because it's the first time you're like, oh, no, this is my character, or this is what I'm going to do. I know. Like, you have these things, and then as you develop, just like you develop as a GM, you improve your skills, you improve your ability to come up with things. As a player, you improve your ability to work collaboratively, to stay true to who your character is and not ruin everyone else's time and things like that. So give people time, too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, sorry, that was a little bit of a rant from me. I'm done now.
Very good. Well, we're at that time.
Good job.
Thank you very much, Simon from London, for being here.
Thanks, Simon.
And thank all of you for emailing us.
Yes.
If you'd like to email us next week, or not next week, but if you'd like to email us for a future episode, happyjacksrpg@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And I will play the music. Should I play a preview of the Call of Cthulhu song?
Yes. Okay, wait. You have to tell about this first.
The song, it's called Casilda's Song, and it is, from my reading, the only thing that has actually been written from The King in Yellow, which is the lyrics to this song, which is supposedly in Act 1, Scene 2 of the play The King in Yellow. So I took the music, which is written by Robert C. Chambers, who I wrote The King in Yellow, the short story anthology, and I put music to it. And I also made one of the verses a chorus because it needed a chorus.
That seems legit.
And you know what? I'll just play the song out, and I won't even talk over it.
Along the shore, the cloud waves break. The twin suns sink behind the lake, and the shadows lengthen in Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise. Strange moons circle through the skies. Much stranger still is lost Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou unsung as tears unshed shall dry and die in lost Carcosa. Strange is the night where black stars rise, and strange moons circle through the skies. But stranger still is lost Carcosa. Songs that the Hyades shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king, must die unheard in dim Carcosa. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou unsung as tears unshed shall dry and die in lost Carcosa.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.
Bum, 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 bum.